Let's now continue by doing a little bit of installation of Web3 and Ganache as well. I'm going to flip on over to my terminal where we're going to install those libraries. So I'm going to make sure I'm inside of my project directory of Inbox, and we're going to run npm install --save, and then we're going to install a couple of different libraries here. So first, we're going to get our testing framework of Mocha. We're going to install the Ganache-CLI library. So this is the actual test local Ethereum network that we're going to deploy our contract to. And then finally, we're also going to install Web3. Now I've got a lot of stuff to say about Web3. And some of it is good and some of it is bad. One of the bad things I have to say about Web3 is that it's going through a major version change and a major rewrite of the library itself right now. So we're going to install a very specific version of Web3 to make sure that you and I are going to be writing the same exact code. So we're going to write Web3 at 1.0.0-beta.26. And I'll zoom in just a little bit to make sure that's really nice and large. So make sure you have Web3 at 1.00 beta.26. All right, and we'll run that. The installation here is going to take just a minute. So while that's going, let's flip on over to our code editor. Now inside of my Inbox directory, I'm going to make that new folder called test, which is going to hold all the different tests that we might write for our project. So I'll make a new folder. I'll call it test. And then inside of here, I'm going to make a file called inbox.test.js. So this is where we're going to write all of our code to write some assertions or make some assertions about our deployed contract. We're going to be writing a lot of code in this thing over time. Let's get started right now by importing one or two different libraries. At the top, we're going to import or require in the assert module. Assert is another standard library that is built into the Node.js runtime. Assert is used for making assertions about tests. So we might assert that some value is equal to another value. We'll get a lot of experience with assert very shortly, so we'll come back to that topic. The next thing we're going to require in is Ganache, or more specifically, the Ganache CLI. So we'll say const Ganache is require Ganache CLI like so. Again, this is going to serve as our local Ethereum test network. As soon as we start to actually make use of this thing, I think you'll have a better sense of what it's doing for us. So let's just kind of hold on to that front as well. And then finally, we're also going to require in Web3, like so. Now, really important, I want you to notice how assert and Ganache right here are lowercase, but Web3 is actually uppercase. Whenever we make use of Web3, we are always going to be requiring in or importing a constructor function. So this right here is a constructor. It is used to create instances of the Web3 library. By tradition, or by convention, I should say, whenever we are working with a constructor function, we always capitalize it. And so that's why we see capital WEB3 right here. It's really important to note because in the next line of code that we're going to talk about in just a moment, probably in the next video, we're going to create an instance of Web3. And by convention, we usually assign the instance to a variable that is lowercase Web3. So this is essentially our constructor function, or you can think of it as being our class. This is the actual instance of Web3 that you and I are going to work with. All right, let's pause right here. Let's take a look at our installation. Looks like everything is okay over here. So let's pause for just a moment. We'll come back in the next video and we'll talk about why we are going to create an instance of Web3 and exactly how Web3 works overall. So I'll catch you in a minute.